Hi, friends and colleagues around the world. Welcome to GWFM Leadership Interview Series. GWFM is a chartered body, plays a key role of industry advisory and largest WFM community in the world. GWFM leads by purpose of knowledge sharing and providing a professional networking platform. Today we have very interesting person, a global leader with us, Melissa Johnson. Melissa has featured as top 10 influencers in 2020 and powerful woman leader in the WFM industry. Melissa is the global head of workforce management in Telus International, where she empowers 850 WFM professionals across the world to support 40,000 team members as a motivated leader with over 20 years of diverse experience in contact center that includes inbound, outbound, and back office operations. Melissa has extensive work experience and a very extensive knowledge in workforce management, which includes new business integration, workforce optimization, and capacity planning. Melissa has led specialized team to produce operational efficiency at many organizations wherever she worked in. Our greatest honor in our role is to help WFM professionals develop their skills, ability, and competency and establish lifelong career in workforce management. Our goal is to allow everyone in our sphere of influence to do their best at their work. Melissa is going to share her insights, experience, and thoughts to GWFM members around the world. Please join me welcoming Melissa Johnson to GWFM Executive Interview Series. GWFM has been creating a lot of new insights, human capital industry, and helping solving business problems with great ideas, thought processes, and best practices. Today, we have a great personality with us, very interesting leader and one of the top 10 influencers in the 2020 year and one of the powerful women's leaders in the WFM industry. It's truly overwhelming to have Melissa with us at GWFM, and rest of the WFM folks are eager to listen to Melissa and her thought processes, experience, and the 2022 insights that they're all eager to listen to you. Melissa, truly honored and truly overwhelming to have you in GWFM platform to have conversation. Looking forward for your insights and valuable sharings to rest of the WFM folks.
Thank you, Dr. Shiv. So happy to be here. Always excited to talk to the WFM community. We're a very small network of people, so we're across the world, all different types of organizations. We are very unique in what we do. So whenever we get a chance to come together or address each other, I think we speak a common language. So I always relish these opportunities. Thank you so much for having me.
So privileged, honored. Wonderful. So Tatiana, we have a few of the questions that we thought that, we will have a conversation. I know you're a passionate WFM professional. And when we look at your rich experience, so we are curious to know that why and when you made your thoughts to get into WFM career.
Well, I don't know if many of us chose a WFM career. That's one of the things I'd like to change going forward is really just have it as a choice of folks going in. Many of us, WFM found us. For me, I actually did have a choice. It was an interesting situation. One of my early organizations, I worked for a large financial institution, and I started on the phones like many of us did. And I had the opportunity to move to workforce management to help with the capacity planning team for 90 days. At the same time, I had the opportunity to help doing training delivery throughout the organization, two very different jobs. So I worked in WFM, and when trainings came up, I also did trainings. Turns out the two roles became available at the same time. So I applied to be a capacity planner in WFM, and I applied to be a new hire trainer. And both of the interview managers wanted me. So I actually had both offers. And I remember the recruiter saying, listen, this is very unique. You're actually skilled in both these things that are very different. Generally, people who are good trainers aren't the WFM math people. So I remember talking to a friend and thinking, what should I do? And he happened to be in HR. And I remember him telling me, he goes, well, I can tell you from my career, if anything happens in an organization, WFM are the people that shut the lights on the way out. Like, it's a very stable career path and there's a lot to do. And I chose WFM and I'm so glad I did. It's been an amazing career. I came in an odd place. Generally, you don't come in as a capacity planner, but it allowed me to learn the business from the top down, from the planning structure. So I think that choice I made that day when I called the recruiter and said, I accept the WFM opportunity, was by far one of those pivotal and important choices in my life. And I absolutely wouldn't undo that choice for anything.
Amazing. What's your passion towards WFM? I see that like you're one of the passionate person in WFM. Could just throw some light on what's your passion towards WFM?
I think early on in WFM, my passion was the numbers, just being able to shed light. I used to tell people, they'd ask, what do you do for a living? And no one understands WFM. So I used to tell people, I'm like, I tell people way above my pay grade how to run their business and then convince them I'm right. So there was so much influence you can have as a WFM leader, not even a leader, whether you're an RTA analyst, a scheduler, a planner, you have so much influence and so much you can do to help an organization. There is such a pivotal part of your job. And then later on, as my career advanced and I became a leader, my passion changed. It's still all those things, but now it's also developing WFM careers, like helping them see that our job isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet, right? And something I say a lot, we are so important to a team member's existence, to their life, to how they feel about their job. And if I can help someone growing in the career see that difference and understand how much influence they have to make everyone's life better in that arrangement, that's what gets me out of bed every day, right? We get to the point in our careers where we need that fire every day. And knowing that I have, hundreds of WFM professionals that I can help see how important and influential they are, that is what makes me passionate. And then our job overall is it's very exciting. If you are bored in WFM, you are looking at the wrong thing.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And you're so inspirational. And I'm sure that the rest of the team members in the organization have been inspired. And a person like you having in the organization is very, very much blessing. Melissa, can you tell us one thing without which your day doesn't start? Of course, you would start with the coffee, like how you're starting now. And what are the few things that kickstart your day? How do you start your day?
I'll tell you my ideal way to start the day and then my reality start of the day. I think it's important that every individual learns their most productive time. Like sometimes you're a morning person or you're an afternoon person or you're an evening person. So I would love to be one of those people who get up and straighten up and have coffee and have that quiet relaxation time or go exercise. I find for me, it's my most productive brain time. Like my brain is so active in the morning. I like to use that mental energy right away. So many times, literally, I make a beeline because I wake up energized about a thought or subject or project I'm working on. So a lot of times I like to get that down right away. So before anyone's expecting me at work and I don't look at emails right away. I don't get sucked into that. I get that energy out as soon as I can. And then once I do that, I do kind of like to freshen my day, go and get my coffee and make sure everything's in order in your home. I do like to spend every day kind of looking at my calendar, reprioritizing my day, because a lot of things end up on your calendar that maybe aren't the best use of your time. So generally first thing in the morning, I will reprioritize my calendar. I'll look at conflicts. And then I do my most important thing, which is I check on my red hot deliverable. So anything I 100% committed to have that day that is still deliverable. So either I need to reset expectations, or I need to make sure that gets completed or help delegate that out. So I start my day with kind of going over my meeting schedules, my deliverables, but only after I get out that high mental energy that I happen to have in the morning. Like I said, it's not for everyone. Some people are not morning people, but I can conquer the world hunger before 10 a.m. if I focus on it. Well, maybe not that, but I can try.
That's really inspiring. And, like a lot of leaders that, I see when they start their day truly determines the kind of productivity and efficiency. And your kind of thoughts, how you start your day is great learning lessons for the rest of the people. Amazing. Melissa, according to you, what are the few must-do good habits to develop WFM professionals to grow the career?
That's a great question. And it's something I'm really passionate about because I see so many WFM careers not proceed up a path because they're missing this thing.
Cool.
And the number one thing to advance a WFM career is personal relationships.
Right.
So many times we tie our work to the math. Like we know we're right, we're the smartest people in the room, or all those things that we think. But that doesn't actually move the needle in your organization. You coming in and as a WFM professional and just giving the black and white. The most important thing in this, it's not even, when I say building relationships, I don't mean, having drinks or coffee or chatting, which is all great. Do all those things. It's really seeking to understand what that person has as their most important. Because a lot of times it's very different than you think it is. If someone comes and tells you they need something and you just go with, no, it can't be done because math, you're really not seeking to understand their problem. Maybe they think that's what they need to get to their outcome. So, and then not only seek to be understood, but seek to be understood. Like, let me understand why this is most important to me. So it's a skill set that I didn't have early in my career and I'm still developing, right? It's hard when because math, right? Like, you're like, why can't we do that? Well, because we can't. But you really have to approach it differently. And if you don't learn how to do that, you're just going to have a very challenging career of just being the no guy, right? Or gal, or, and you're not that you say yes all the time, because we're not order takers in WFM. That won't help you either. It's really coming together and understanding the business problem you're trying to solve, and then using WFM core principles to help them solve it. And that's the trick that we miss so much early in our careers.
I mean, those things are like a skill set and mindset that what you talk about, right? Very well narrated. Amazing. A lot to learn from you and your insights, Melissa. Going forward, next question. Could you throw some light on the trends witnessed during the 2021?
It was incredible. 2021? What about 2020? What? I just realized there were 2 years in there. I think a lot of the trends we saw was really getting back to the basics. So, obviously we're always marching towards technology and automation, but many of our organizations were put into work from home models without planning, right? Hybrid models. None of us, like if we planned to do this in 2020, we would have planned to do it very differently. So in 2021, it was more about you couldn't rely on all the systems that you thought you knew back and forth, right? You had to go back and say, all right, we have to build something different. But I think the biggest trend, and this may sound a different bit, but I think in 2021, at least what I saw in my organization and the organizations I work with, is this kind of amazing homecoming of people first leadership, because you had to be. You couldn't see your people anymore. You could see them on computers. You couldn't get to them. Your clients were going through massive changes. And it really became more about how do we accomplish this outside of the box? How do we iterate? It's almost like it's funny, it's going to tie a little bit into my 2022, because I think in 2021, we kind of went backwards a little bit as a WFM organizations across the world, all organizations, because you had to get back to the manual. You had to figure out how to do things because your technology couldn't keep up quick enough to what you're doing. I mean, now some of the technologies I have is very different. I'm like, we need to manage hot seating. We need to manage remote schedule, hybrid work. Like now it's going to be a big push for technology, but I think last year in 2021, it was about coming together as people, figuring out whether you're a team member, a team leader, a workforce person, an ops person, a finance person. What we had as the norm, not only was not the norm, we didn't even know where we were going. No one expected 2020 for sure, but definitely no one expected 2020 to continue all the way through 2021. Like we were not, I think that's the biggest message I gave to people throughout 2021 was, guys, we're not in standard process. We're still in business continuity, right? We're still in BCP planning of saying, this is not the norm and we don't even know where the norm is going to land. So I think opening up your minds as a workforce professional was critical for everyone to say, doesn't matter if that's the way you did it yesterday. And no, you don't know how you're going to do it tomorrow, but you have to plan for success for your organization and you have to be part of that solution.
Absolutely. I agree with your points. Thank you. Moving on to the next question, Melissa. What are some key trends that you foresee in 2022?
Well, in 2022, we have to change the way we work in WFM.
True.
If you look at the trends of the workforce and what is expected of this next workforce, I think maybe a couple of years ago, we would have talked about gamification or we would have talked about enabling technology. None of that is enough anymore. You have to be team member centric. You have to create processes for people that literally have optimal experience for the front end team member. I mean, the front end team member today wants a little bit of both. And I'm privileged. I have children at both ends of the spectrum. I have a 30-year-old and a 21-year-old. So I've been able to see this younger generation grow into, the great employees of tomorrow. And they absolutely want flexibility, but they also want to care about their organization. So I think there's this mindset of if we give people the ultimate flexibility, this Uber-esque lifestyle, or that everyone talks about, that as organizations will fail. That misses the point that people want to care about their organization. So what you have to do is highlight what's important to the organization and have them part of that solution. But technology enablement will not be a word thrown away. We cannot keep up with workforce demand, the kind of work we need to do without embracing technology, hybrid staffing models between, the bots that help us and us, right? And I think we don't need to look away for those, but embrace those. And I think of it more of like decision-making tools is what we need more and more of. We need technology in the background that looks at if-then scenarios and then spoon feeds the WFM professional to say, all right, here are the scenarios we're seeing in the world right now. Make a decision based on your logic or not if it's a simple decision. So there's no way 2022 can happen successfully if at the end of your year as a WFM professional, you have not innovated the ability for front-end team members to get and receive schedules, change their time, change their schedules, and still meet your customer demand. It's got to go together. So every one of my goals for 2022 really evolve around embracing the technology we have, pushing your technology partners to do better, right? Because we're, like I said, next year we're going to have to look at hot seating. We're going to have to look at hybrid work from home in office schedules. We need our technology as WFL solutions to catch up as well. We have to push them with all the information. We have to push ourselves. And we have to accept that the team member experience is the priority, because if the team member is not there to care for the customer, that customer experience degrades as well. Those two people have to come together. And it's our job in workforce to make sure those people come together at the right time, at the right place, at the right skill. Same job, different way to look at it.
Absolutely. In fact, that's the way that most of the WFM leaders and the organization should really look at making a difference in 2022. Otherwise, just to like you see that great resignation is one of the examples that organizations really making huge loss, losing right people and quality of people, and hiring such people really costing 50% costlier than what they were.
Absolutely. And even in your own organizations, guys, like from a WFM leader perspective, where are your people going? When are they going? What are you doing to recruit a whole new generation of WFM professionals?
Sure.
And what message are you telling them as you teach them this whole new career path? Because even our own profession, right, there's a great turnover happening everywhere. So if your WFM professionals are not engaged in what you're doing and they are scared of technology instead of embracing it. And I think that's just a normal thing of like, well, if that bot does my job, your job just gets better, right? Think about the people who know how to make schedules on little paper grids, still know how to make schedules, but in a WFO system. And so I think that's the most critical part of really, it's not just about team members, it's about your leaders, your analysts. It's a whole next generation of engaging them in contact center, right? What do we do every day? It's really important.
Thank you. Melissa, we move on to the next question. What do you think organizations should do differently in 2022?
I think for 2022, it's, everything's a cycle, and we've been in this cycle many, many years ago before. You really understand what drives the people in your organization and what drives your customer base. All of those are critical. If you even take some of the, just very old metrics we all look at, service level. Like, I think a lot of people in contact center maybe don't even understand what that metric is. They just know, well, 80% is good. Well, 80% of what? Oh, I hear 80-20 is good. But why? I mean, when's the last time that you made a phone call to a contact center where you just held your phone? I mean, I don't know about you, but me, I generally call them. I'm on hold. I put it on speaker. I go about my day. The most important to me thing as a customer maybe isn't, I don't really care if they answer my call in 20 seconds. I more care when they answer it. One, why did I have to call you anyway? Like, why wasn't there some other channel I could have fixed this issue with? So I think in 2022, really just rethinking everything about your metrics, about what you think good customer experience is and what's important to a customer. And then once you know what's important to the customer, obviously what's important to your team member, how can they feel empowered to service that customer better? How can your team leads not have to spend a day doing administrative work, but actually coaching their team members? So it's that front-facing technology, but also kind of redoing that whole customer experience. And I think a lot of organizations haven't done that in a very long time. I've heard like this, I'm sure we've all heard this story before. It's one of those old folk legends where a bunch of executives were put into a room and a WFM professional came in and asked, how long is too long to hold? Because they were deciding on service level. So they asked all the executives to raise their hand when they thought it was too long. And the answers were just all over the board. So getting back to what's important is critical for 2022. And then getting your whole organization tied into that culture that you create. Some organizations might say, our customers don't mind waiting. They're looking for something else, or our customers really want quick answers. Right. So we want to invest in, single touch service providers that they can get the quick answers and then escalate to a higher platform. But I think that's the redo. Forget what you always did before now. Throw it away. Nothing matters anymore. The world of 1980 and 1990 and 2010, it's gone. And this generation of customer is different. And our generation of servicing has to be different.
Absolutely. Very, very well mentioned, Marissa. In fact, one of the great things that we did in the past is something that, yes, it's just like a history, but now what we do differently is what's going to matter. and our industry sustainability, success, and growth, and the value to the business is where we have now.
Absolutely.
Moving on to the next question, what are the top 5 priorities that you suggest for 2022?
For me, it's really got to be, if I think about it in pillars. So people first, like 100%. And I would divide your people into a couple different categories. The people you serve. So who does WFM serve, right? But I would start with how do you enable front-end team members to get support from your organization? How do you make that seamless for them?
Right.
How do you give operations all the tools to enable themselves, right? So those are 2 people groups. And then your own team, what are you doing to training, develop those folks? How are you bringing on the next generation? So those are 3 all-around people. As you hear me before, those are always the 3 most important things in my world, because if we forget that, we are just numbers people, and we don't want to be those people. And then embrace technology. You have got to figure out a way to infuse technology into your WFM systems. So you have your process, and your process is set in place to enable your operations or make sure everyone follows an HR guidance. Whatever that process is, find a way to check it through technology. A dashboard is got to be more than copying and paste raw data into a field or having a bot go and grab it. It's got to be intuitive to the user, right? It's got to scream at them, look at this. This is the problem here, because they are running as fast as we are, and their problems from an operations standpoint are very different from our problems. What they're focusing on is not the same focus. That's why we're here. We're here to wave the red flag and go, hey, there's something over here you haven't looked at, and we think you should, and here's why. So I think that technology first, focusing on those 3 sets of people, and then also thinking ahead into hybrid flexible scheduling. Like, if you haven't figured it out by now, it's got to be your number one. We always say we always want one number one priority, the most important thing, the thing that every day, every member of your leadership team does. Last year, our most important thing was bringing WFM talent aboard, because we grew so much, right? We had to train our own. This year, that WFM most important thing has got to be enabling a flexible work environment for front-end team members. And that's more than WFM. So that's a big thing, right? Because you've got to get operations with you. You've got to kind of take their vision and put it into process. You've also, if you're in my industry, you also have to get in front of all your clients, right? You have to let them understand there's another way that we can maybe deliver longer tenure, better quality if we give up something. So it's really getting that balance right away. And I'd say the other priority is 2022. And I have let it slip. I let it slip in 2021, and I won't let it slip in 2022, is caring for yourself, right? You're not going to be a good WFM leader, a good WFM professional, if you don't take that time to care for your own training, your own development, your own health, your own well-being, and your own family. And if that's not part of your priority structure, it falls off. So I'd even put that in the top priorities of 2022 for every WFM professional.
Incredible message and sharing, Melissa. I see that a lot of things that during the conversation that what we have, especially the 5 trends that you suggested, is something that is just amazing, and a lot of insights in it. I'm sure that our WFM professionals who is watching this, news and watching this video would definitely be benefited and going to be inspired. Moving on to the next question, Melissa, what is the message that you have for the WFM industry?
I think overall for WFM professionals in the industry is we have to realize that our job is not as it's defined. If your organization has brought you on as a WFM leader, an analyst, no one's going to mind if you step out of that box. You are a trusted advisor for your organization, regardless of your reporting structure. That means you're there to support finance, you're there to support facilities, operations, training, your own shared services, coaching, wherever that need is within your organization, that's where they need you to be. So my advice to you as an organization of WFM, whatever your job description is, you can do great there. That's fine. But we as an organization need to do more to share the light, to scream from the rooftops if we see something wrong, to shine light when something is great. We really have to be that trusted advisor. And like I said, for many of us, that's even a trusted advisor for other organizations if you're in the BPO industry like I am. But it's important that we do that with compassion and understanding that they don't understand our perspective. So we have to share that, and we have to find a way to get past the numbers and really push that understanding throughout our organizations.
Absolutely. In fact, that's really a missing part in most of the organizations and also the industry, because now you see that last 4 or 5 years, WFM industry is growing rapidly. A lot of them are really building team and strengthening the team, also increasing the team size. A lot of industries investing a lot in technology and new initiatives, especially like last 2 to 3 years. Management has been focusing more on WFM than any other things, which is something fundamentally important to sustain and also drive your organization's business. So very well mentioned, and I see that it's a tremendous amount of thought process and very good message that you convey to the WFM industry, also to professionals, and I'm sure that this will be a great message and great takeaways for the rest of the WFM industries. I have a last question, Melissa. We would like to know, what are your initiatives for diversity and inclusion for 2022? In fact, we are at the right place. We are being in this March month, right? Women's Day month, and time to celebrate and glorify and also make some noise. That
absolutely
kind of true. Just throw some light on that. What are your initiatives for diversity and inclusion for 2022? Also, if you could suggest that what industry should do to drive this initiative.
Absolutely. I think for me, 2022 doesn't change what has always been my philosophy, which is find the will and teach the skill, right? So in WFM, so many times, there's was a typecasting in who does what role, and what you look for in leader, and who can go in front of clients and who can't. And there's so much that we've just put on top of each other. And for me, it's a very old school thought. Is this a will issue or a skill issue, right? And if you find people who have a high amount of will and desire and drive, and they want to learn, it doesn't matter what their gender is, what their religion is, what their race is, anything about them. What matters is they have a desire to learn and come forward. And those skill sets are so out there and available. And there's so much passion you get from someone who's been able to learn from the ground up. I know I did. My first organization, I stayed a very long time because I was so excited that they just really nurtured my career so much. And then I have been so lucky to have so many mentors in my life, from my very first trainer, people who work with me now, like my team, the team that actually works next to me every day. I even hate saying I'm their leader because they're all just as capable as me, and we all treat each other as peers regardless of anything going on. There's not a competitive nature among us because we all want to make the world better. So when you find those people who are enthusiastic about learning, you pour everything into them. That's the time you go deep in the weeds to hold their hand and show them what they have. And then when you find people who have been overlooked in their career, fix it. Spend the time with them. When you see pay inequality, if you see position inequality, any of those things that you notice in your organization, you've got to drive that correction. And that has always been my philosophy, because people early in my career did that for me. I would not be sitting in my seat right now if I didn't have people who saw me and said, wow, she's smart. She really wants to work hard. Let's teach her how to do great things. And they let me do them. And I'm amazed by the trust they gave me and still give me every day. And I give that same trust to everyone in my organization.
That's incredible. In fact, a lot of industries are going to learn and adopt the best practices that what really been followed in your organization, and kind of suggestions and messages that you passed down, Melissa, has been incredible. And it's been a great time that GWFM and rest of the members going to have, and it's been a great learning from you, and really amazing insights and experiences sharing this morning. And I'm sure that this will be a great documentary for WFM professional and also to industry. Truly overwhelming to have you with us, and I'm sure that the industry is going to benefit a lot with our conversation.
And Dr. Vitt, thank you for you and your organization. Like, to be able to bring together such amazing talent that we can learn from each other with. And really, one of the things I love about GWFM is the fundamentals of workforce it teaches for large scale organizations. And we're so appreciative to have organizations like this where we can come together and give us all a voice. So thank you for allowing me this time in this platform. And for all the people who come after me, we're just so grateful for the time that you invest into our WFM community.
Thank you so much, Melissa. It's really been a great conversation having with you, and great insights and learning, huge takeaways from your conversation. Thank you.